Well, a very warm welcome to you at Start the Day Live from Felixstowe on Friday, the 16th of June 2023. And we're off on another little live exercise to run round the block, if you like, to see what's happening in Felixstowe and surrounds over the coming days and a little look at the current news. We're going to start with a mix of both. We've got some interesting stuff coming up today in terms of stories, looking at our lovely MP. We're looking at the Book Fest, which is about to happen. We're updating you on the so-called Seashore Village, the beach hut development on the front. And we're also looking at our own figures. That'll be odd, won't it? And we'll see where we go with that. So stay tuned, stay in or online, and we'll see what's going locally. So starting it off today, we've got, of course, the weather. We always do the weather first, don't we? Because it's going to be, hey, another lovely day. We've got sunshine again today, up to about 19 or 20 degrees, according to the mighty BBC. And we've got that northeasterly or somewhat easterly wind blowing all day at around 8 or 10 miles an hour. So it'll kind of just take the heat out of the day, if you like, but don't forget you've still got bright sunshine, so you will get hit by those UV rays, and you could easily get sunburned, especially if you're somewhere where you're out of the wind and stuff. You'll feel it then, but if you're in the wind, you won't feel the heat effect from the sun's UV rays as much because of the wind, and you could get a sunburn. So do be a bit careful, splash on some of that cream and make sure you're safe. Okay, down on the seaside, well, we've got the low tide today has just gone past a couple of hours. Well, no, my goodness, a few hours ago. High tide is 11, and then we've got a falling tide until around 5 o'clock, which means that the beach will be getting bigger and bigger. So there's more and more room for you to go and have a stroll along the beach, have a sit, skim a stone, have a nice time. Okay, so and that weather looks like continuing. Let's just go back to the weather while I think of it. That weather looks like continuing in tomorrow, and probably then we're probably looking like some rain on Sunday. So we'll see what happens there. Okay. That is our little old regulars. Now, one of the most, I don't know whether you'll call it the biggest events in Felixstowe. It's maybe one of the longest lasting effects in events in Felixstowe, and that is the excellent, I have to say it really is, I think, excellent, the excellent Felixstowe Book Festival. Now, that starts this weekend, or today even, with one thing that's really a good thing for our town and a good thing for people in our town, which is it is the children's program of the book festival. Now that starts actually today with one item, and then it's got loads of items, loads of interesting things happening over the weekend at Felixstowe Library for youngsters, for kids, for young people. There's a wide range of stuff, including authors' talks, including the big library Lego challenge. That looks like a lot of fun. And there's a kind of a lot of stuff happening in Felixstowe book-wise this weekend. And then, of course, next weekend is the big weekend for the adult version of the book festival. And we'll bring you more on that as we get nearer to that time. So there you have it. Okay, what's on? Well, good heavens, I'm going to go back one and say what's on. This is what's on now until next Thursday inclusive. Greatest Days, which is apparently the Take That movie. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Sorry, I should have said that, shouldn't I? Across the Spider-Verse. So that's happening this week, running into next week, up until the 22nd of June. And then let's go back to what we were looking at there, and that is Il Trovatore, which is on Sunday. You can catch that on Sunday. It's a major performance, I think, really, and that should be fun to watch if you're an opera fan. And then The Little Mermaid is running on tomorrow, Saturday, and that's should, I think, then finish. I'm not entirely sure whether that finishes then or not. Okay, what have we got next? Well, I'm going to have a slurp of tea because I'm rapidly losing my voice. There you go. And now I can give you the update on what's happening with Seashore Village. As I think most people now know, Seashore Village, that new beach hut site next door to the leisure centre and the pier, is the beach huts are now up for sale, anything from 30 odd grand down to 20 odd grand for a 15 extendable to 20-year lease with a monthly rental of between 800 quid and 1,000. Several people have said what's happening with these as far as the end of that 15 stroke 20-year lease. And we asked the question because so many people asked us. And what I discovered was that, in fact, you can negotiate a new lease. You have to establish a new lease at the end of the 15 or 20-year period if you so desire. And how that works is that you and the local authority have to pay your own expenses, but there's no actual charge. There's no capital charge to extend that lease for another period of years or make a new lease for another period of years. That's no big problem. You can do it. And the local authority say they will work with tenants to get that done quickly and effectively. So I'm really pleased about that. So have no fears. If you buy a 15 stroke 20-year lease from the local authority at the end of that period, you will be able to extend it because, as we all know, the truth is that people keep their beach huts in their families for years and years and years. Really good news, I think, that kind of thing. It gives a family connection to our resort and it's worth following through. If you have interest in buying or a lease, in buying a beach hut, in fact, down on this new site, the prices run from 32,000 down to 22,000. And you can get in touch with Scott Beckett Estate Agents and they will be delighted to help you, I think. Okay, what's on next? Well, it's coming up towards carnival time, and on the 22nd of June, there is a Magic of the Musicals concert, and that's happening. That's happening in Felixstowe at St John's Church, and it happens at 7 p.m. It looks like being a really nice event. If you want to get down there, the tickets are only £5. And it's performed by the Felixstowe Over 50s Brass Band, the Ipswich Over 50s Brass Band, and they have a great time playing and they entertain you too. The event is raising funds towards the cost of Felixstowe Carnival Weekend, which you have to know is expensive to stage in both money terms and in people terms. I'm not sure if they're still looking for volunteers, but you can find the information on the Felixstowe Carnival website. So get in touch, go along, have a look at this one. It looks like fun. The other thing to tell you, which is just on the point of information, if you like, is that the Carnival program is now available and they are free. You can get them in town, they cost you nothing, and they give you an idea of what's happening and also tell you what local firms are advertising and supporting the Carnival. As far as Felixstowe is concerned, Felixstowe Carnival is one of the biggest events of the year. It's massive. It's fun to go and see. I will be there having a look myself. I know that there'll be quite a lot of people from local organisations like Litter Free Felixstowe. I think Felixstowe Radio are going to be there. The new Suffolk Sound radio station is going to be there. And there'll be loads and loads of other people, loads of big floats, and some of them will be amazing. Some of them won't be quite so amazing, but people will still be working jolly hard to get a really good impression on that. So have a look for a carnival program, find yourself one, and you'll see what's going on Carnival Weekend. Now, time to blow our own trumpet, if you like. One of the things that everybody on Facebook talks about is what your reach and things like that are. And our reach on Felixstowe Start the Day, I think, is quite impressive. We've actually got coming up now for around 400 followers over a very few weeks of actually actively making programs and starting to do content. But on that kind of nearly 400 followers figure, we're getting massive reach and massive engagement. So currently our post reach for the past 28 days was 16,000. Post engagement was 9,000. And we got 61 new followers. That's deeply impressive. I like it a lot, chaps. Thank you for following Start the Day from Felixstowe. I hope we give you the good amount of local news that you're looking for. Okay, have a look at that later. I will publish that as a separate thing later because it's worth knowing. I mean, people who are much bigger than us get much less impressive results. Dear old Felixstowe Radio, for instance, got about 5,500 followers and gets kind of half that amount of post reach. Who knows? There you go. Okay, what's up next? Well, this one. Felixstowe Boot Sales. That's a car boot sales operated by the Lions. That's on tomorrow morning, and that's at the old Cavendish site. If you want to get there, you don't have to get there desperately early. I think you can actually go in as a vendor from around 7 o'clock, and the actual show officially opens. The boot sale officially opens at around 8 o'clock. It is our genuinely local boot sale, and it does have a genuinely local impression on our area. In other words, money there is raised for the Lions, and as I think everybody knows, the Lions do an amazing amount of work locally. Okay, let's see what we've got in the way of commentary. Oh, I see, yeah. Suffolk Sound will be sharing a float with Litter Free Felixstowe, says our friend Rob Dunger. Hey, Rob, we're looking forward to hearing your new station and maybe getting involved a little bit with that. Looks like being an interesting time, and I think we'll do a little feature on Suffolk Sound probably next week, just to keep people up to date with what's happening down there at Beach Street. So there's young Rob. And what have we got next? Well, let's come up and have a look. So at the Spa Pavilion, this one is tonight, The Makings of a Murderer. I love it. Horrible. We all watch crime thrillers and murder thrillers on TV and stuff like that. But in fact, we're all fairly terrified of the idea of being murdered, and I certainly am. But there's a super detective tale, quite, I think, quite spooky, quite worrying, quite interesting to have a look at. If you go down to the Spa Pavilion tonight, I'm sure they've got a few seats left, or give them a ring, get in touch with the Spa Pavilion now and book your seat if you're interested. And then on Saturday night, Big Girls Don't Cry, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. That looks like being a lot of fun as well. Now, this is a serious story, and I'm taken aback by it, really, let's be honest, and say, one of the things that happens in our world is that stuff kind of overflows and people do stuff for maybe the right or wrong reasons. As I think we all know, there was a big accident early in May on the Orwell Bridge in which a truck crashed into the barrier and things happened. And this has been waiting for a repair. The Highways Agency say that they've been waiting to get parts for the crash barriers because the parts that got bashed don't usually get bashed, so they don't keep a lot of spare parts. They were waiting for spares. They've had the spares delivered, and last night the eastbound carriageway was closed between 8 and 6, and it's going to be the same tonight, Saturday night. Friday night, rather, excuse me, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday, and soon after that, a couple of 3 days later, hopefully, that speed limit will be removed. Now, our wonderful local MP, Therese Coffey, actually said, why don't you get rid of that speed limit at the beginning of last week when they were planning to get rid of it anyway, kind of early next week, hopefully, that 40-mile-an-hour limit. So we'll go back to 60. And I think she's just getting a bit desperate because they're looking desperately, Conservative MPs are looking desperately to find a story to tell that makes them look good and makes them look good in their constituencies. While the Tories were beetling along doing stuff in London. Therese Coffey was doing that and was paying pretty limited attention to her constituency. And now that things look as if they're going downhill for the Tories, she's desperately jumping about to try and make stuff happen. There you go. Okay. Oh, you have to say honestly, or I have to say honestly, that you vote for who you like. Purely personally, I'm not a big fan of the Tories under the current way they're running, and I'm even less of a fan of Dr. Coffey, who I think is she does what she can to try and get re-elected, and that's kind of all you can say. Okay, I'm going to stop and take a breath at this point because I think I need to. We've just done our show. It's been about 16 minutes long. That's one of the longest shows that we've done. I hope we've got lots of information for you. I hope you'll find it interesting. And I'd like to thank you for watching the show or listening to the show, and say we'll be back again on Monday with another show. We'll be doing Start the Day live on Monday, the 19th of June, and we'll have more local news, more local information, and more stuff for you to actually have a look and a listen at. Okay, I'm Chris. This is Start the Day live from Felixstowe, and I have to say this very carefully, see you soon. Take care of yourselves.